Hi everyone, today we're going to do an update into Skillz, and it's been a good 2 or 3 months since I talked about this company in a full detailed video, and yeah, I thought we'll do that because there has been a lot of new additions to this company. A lot has changed, the share price has changed a little bit since we last talked about the company. In fact, I think the last time I actually talked about Skillz is when last time it fell off a cliff, and then it's been a pretty good 2-3 months of Skillz, and then in particular this last month, July, August, the share price has slumped back down again, and I feel like a few people out there will appreciate me going into doing a little bit of an update in Skillz, my thoughts on Skillz at the moment, and where I see the company and where I'm at with the company as well. It's a video that when I kind of do these deep dives, it takes a while to put this video together, as well as that people aren't that interested in these sort of videos. I think people are more interested in like, quick fire of, 3 stocks to buy, 5 stocks to buy, 10 stocks to buy. Those are always the most popular videos to talk about. But when we actually do like a deep dive into these sort of videos, the views are normally not great, and as well as the views not being great, it takes me even longer to kind of put all this information together. So yeah, but hopefully, I know a few of you guys wanted to see this, and also I think it's good for me just to kind of keep up to date with like my thoughts on the company as well, and especially as well, one of the big things that I do on this channel is like, you'll never see me kind of talk about the companies that have gone up and the companies that are doing well, because we're not really bothered. We've kind of already made the money on them. The big thing is we try and look at this point of view going, okay, this company's back down at 52 close, should we be buying this one? Is this the next one to kind of make money on? And that's what I try and focus on, is not really talk about too many stocks that have gone up, but really focus on which are the next buying opportunities, or is this stock back at a buying opportunity for this one, I would say. So yeah, hopefully that is all useful. Now, if you are on the Patreon, just to let you know, I did put a video up last night, which is my US stock market portfolio review. There was quite a bit of a deep dive into a few companies in there. Spent about, I think it was about half an hour long. So if you are on the Patreon, do go check that video out. And if you do want to join the Patreon, the link is in the description. We post on there when I'm buying or selling companies, which there was some buying and selling last week. Of course, I'll update you guys on YouTube in a little bit, as well as exclusive content like the portfolio reviews. There's normally 2 videos a week. Sometimes there's 3 videos a week on there. And also there's a Discord with 600 members on there as well, so you can talk to over 600 members on the Discord about a lot of stocks, just not Skillz. There's plenty of other stocks on there, but yeah, just to let you know about that one. Anyway, getting on to the Skillz update today. So first of all, I want to break it all down and kind of go back to basics with this company. I feel like we could actually do a Beyond Meat one maybe as well sometime soon. But yeah, the company itself, what is the company? What's kind of going on with here? So the company itself is focused on mobile gaming. Mobile gaming, it has at the moment, it's been around since I think it's 2012, so it's quite a young company, to be fair, and obviously it's playing on the boom of mobile gaming. It has mobile games out there. The games themselves at the moment are quite basic games, so they're very easy to get used to, easy to get playing. I'm not sure if any of you guys have actually given the games a go. They're actually quite addictive, but very easy to pick up. And the company is also focused on esports, and I think the big thing as well is, as games get a bit more, they still keep some simple games, but when they get some bigger titles and advance their games a little bit, it would be very interesting how that develops. Also the esports side of this company, so there is the potential for this company to actually become a mobile gaming company and also expand past mobile gaming. But as well as that, the esports side of it is that at the moment you can actually play against other people, and you can do that for free, or what Skillz tries and focuses on is where you actually pay to play against someone, and then the winner takes the money, and then you can go and do that in just a 1v1 match, or you can do it in a whole tournament. And the big thing as well about the esports side of this company is that you are then able to actually go watch the player you just played against. You could go watch their game and just see how they beat you or how you beat them. And I think that's part of the gaming platform that could build up in the next few years, is where we actually have a bit of a streaming platform built inside this company as well as it kind of gets a bit more complicated on the game side of it. So at the moment, the basic games are like a Tetris game, but if we start having what we have a little bit later on, which I'll talk about, is like a Mortal Kombat game, where that's a big title and pulls in a lot of more people that are probably spending more time on games, shall we say, and them sort of titles coming to the platform as well. This is quite early days for this company, but when we look at what it can build up to in the long term, as well as the growth, that's why I'm kind of really interested in this sort of company. Now the industry itself, it is in the growing esports industry, which obviously is going to be huge and has only just started and will carry on growing as it goes forward. I mean, already we're seeing arenas being filled with a lot of these esports competitions, but as well as that, it's in the mobile gaming industry. Now the mobile gaming industry, if we have a look at the moment, the growth is really good. You know, the gaming whole sector is going to grow a huge amount, but the biggest or the fastest growing part of that gaming sector is the mobile gaming sector, because when you think about it, you have to, a lot of these when you go into gaming, you have to go buy a lot of these things. With mobile gaming, you know, everyone has a mobile phone. Most people now have an Android, or most people have an iPhone, so you basically have a gaming console straight there, which is why it's growing so fast. And also it then is probably more open to a bigger age range as well. So the mobile gaming is huge, esports is growing huge. So at the moment we are probably in one of the hottest industries for the next kind of 5-10 years at least. I don't like to go too far past 5 years because I always think it is a lot of things can change down there, but realistically in the next 5-10 years, esports and gaming and mobile gaming are going to be the biggest industries, or one of the biggest growing industries out there. So it's good that we've got a company that's in a sector that is going to boom. And you look at a lot of these companies in this industry, you know, there's some very successful games in here, and then you look at a lot of the mobile gaming as well, really good mobile gaming companies. You know, the big thing as well, what is very interesting and something that I'm not investing for this reason, but is when you look at the mobile gaming industry and the growth side of it, is you've seen a lot of these mobile gaming companies, you know, being bought out so often. You know, obviously you look at like the likes of Angry Birds, for example. Obviously we invested into Glue Mobile, which was back in December, and 3 months later that had been bought out by EA. And it wouldn't surprise me if, you know, Skillz, if these guys go to dominate the area in the next kind of 4 or 5 years, is that if we look at the likes of EA or Activision or Take-Two, even Tencent on them top lines, if some of these guys are looking at Skillz and thinking, you know what, we need to partner up with them and we share the titles, or in fact Skillz is acquired by one of those companies, or them companies take a stake in Skillz, wouldn't surprise me at all. Now I'm not investing for that reason, but what we've seen here is an industry that is going to be very good, and also companies that have been bought out because they've done so well just by having normal, you know, play on your own mobile games. Nothing what Skillz is doing. You know, Skillz is a game changer in this industry. Skillz is, you know, improving like the esports side of it as well, playing against people, wager matches, which is not gambling, by the way, just to kind of put that out there. You know, this isn't a gambling company because it's classed as a skill game. So, you know, that's the growth in here is going to be fantastic, and that's why I think Skillz, the company itself, I like the products, I think it has a lot of potential, and the industry growth is going to be on its side as well, which is great. Management, my point of view as well is like, when I'm looking into this company, is like, have I got a good management team? Have I got a management team that have a proven track record here? Now, if you do look at the CEO, Andrew Paradise, at the moment the company itself has done very well. Like the last kind of 3-4 years, the company's grown over 100% revenue rate, which is fantastic, and landed a lot of good partnerships now going forward, and grown its company at a good rate. As well as that, he has a very successful past. He has a history of being very successful with a lot of companies, and some of his companies being bought out, especially his last project before he created Skillz. He made another company, which was a company called iLbuyer. So it's this company here, and you can see here, which was posted in 2012, so just before Skillz was created. The announcement, which was rumoured earlier this week, was confirmed by iLbuyer CEO Andrew Paradise, who is obviously the CEO and founder of Skillz. And yeah, he created a company called iLbuyer, and that was acquired by Intuit, and I think the payout was like 100 million or something, and this was only a company that had been around 2 years. So yeah, obviously a very successful CEO, and obviously to make a company and then sell it for 100 million in 2 years is very impressive. And obviously Skillz is now his even better project. So we've got a management that's been through creating very good companies before, and obviously this is even the most successful one he's had so far, and I'm sure with how well he's kept building the companies, it will do very well. And I wouldn't, like I said, just a little bit of a thing there is like, I wouldn't even be surprised if, you know, Andrew Paradise does have a history of, you know, if a buyout does come in, which has happened to a lot of these companies before, going, you know what, EA want to buy it, sure, go on. Now, I'm not buying solely for this reason. Like I said, I'm buying this for Skillz because I think it's a great company, but hey, that's just something that I thought I'd make clear. And obviously management as well, Andrew Paradise here, the founder-led company, has a very successful past as well, so we've got a very good management team. Now the risk, how risky is this stock? So I think it is worth kind of pointing out that this is one of the higher risk stocks in my portfolio. It's not a company that at any point I think is a high spec company. You know, I think the stock market is always about risk to reward, and you always want to have a big reward compared to your risk, but there's always that kind of side of it, how much risk is there to the reward side of it. These, without doubt, when you look at Skillz, it is an early stage growth company, and it's a hyper growth company, and there's going to be a lot of money pumped into this company, and this is nowhere near developed as a company on the likes of, you know, a Square, a Shopify, a Microsoft. You know, this is a $4 billion company that is hyper growth, funneling a lot of money into the company to build it up. And realistically, you know, what is the risk side of it? It's a lot bigger than probably a lot more of the companies that I do talk about. Reward side of it, in my opinion, is huge, because we're talking about an industry that is probably one of the biggest growing industries, a market leader in the growing esports business on mobile side of it. And I think potentially when we talk about this company further down the line, you know, 5 years down the line, I'm looking at this one thinking this could potentially be a $30-40 billion company, and that's why I'm picking into this company. The risk side of it, like I said, it is a little bit of a risky company because it is a market leader, but it's kind of going into an unknown area, and because of it being in the hyper growth stage, there's a lot of money funneling into that company, and when you don't have a profitable company, there's always that risk of, but it's unprofitable. Now, obviously, you just got to weigh that up. Where do you see it going? Do you see it coming profitable in a few years? I do personally, that's why I'm buying it, but it is worth saying that there is a little bit more risk with this company that you have to take in, and you've got to think about, does this suit you as an investor? Because what will happen with this being a $4 billion company, with this company being a company that will burn through the cash, this isn't the likes of buying in a Shopify or a Microsoft or an Apple, or even value stocks of Starbucks, for example. This company contains a bit more risk, so you've got to be going, if you're thinking about this company at a small market cap, you've got to be realizing that this, and you've seen this probably over the last 3 months, this is a company that will move 5% on a normal day. This company will move around a lot, and that's something you've got to bear in mind. There's a reason why Skillz is not one of my biggest top 5 positions in the stock market portfolio. I believe there's not loads of risk there, but I am being cautious not to be put it in my top 5 positions, because there is that risk there with how early stage of a growth company it is compared to other companies out there. Realistically though, in the next 2 to 5 years, can I see the likes of Shopify going up 5x? No. Can I see Skillz potentially doing it? Yes. And that's the difference between the risk to reward that you've just got to bear in mind when you go into these sort of companies. So I thought I'd just mention that one, because I think a few people recently, what I kind of feel like is a few people might have bought this company and then not realised, oh, why does this move around so much? That is part of the game if you're buying one of these companies as well. So just thought I'd mention that. Now, first of all, let's just go to the chart, because I want to talk about some of the things that have happened since I last made a video about this company. So from a chart point of view, you can see this is roughly when it got announced that Skillz was actually going to come onto the stock market through a SPAC stock. It was around about November time, and we had a crazy spike up, 244%. And at that point, I think I started buying at 13, my average went up to 17. And then I just left it, and potentially, looking back on hindsight now, it probably would have been a good decision to sell around $43. But at the same time, I didn't really build out my position fully. But I was also thinking, I can understand why people are so excited about this. I don't want to buy it because I think it's massively overvalued at $43. But I still thought at $43, I could see this being a $100 stock. Now, if it did carry on going up to $100, then maybe that would have what would have pushed me over the edge and sold it. But I thought, maybe it never goes down to these sort of prices again, so I'm just going to hold what shares I do have. Now from there, we peaked around February time, as a lot of stocks did. As well as that, the big thing is that you had a short report which had so many false claims, which is still beyond how do these things get allowed to happen. But as well as the kind of pullback in a lot of growth stocks and a short report, unfortunately this has been hit quite a bit. I still believe if it wasn't for the short report, this would still easily be a $20 stock in my opinion. But hey, and then we had a bit of a drop. And at some points here, you won't actually be able to see it, but at this point, actually, if I was just zoom in a bit more around April time, you can see this is when it got hurt. We got the short report, and then boom, we had the kind of whole growth stock sector pullback. And yeah, at one point it hit down to $12.55, which is the last time I actually talked about Skillz. Must have been around about that time. I think I put like an emergency video out that was quite long. Now, in this period here, it got to the point where I was at $17, and then it actually started to go below my average, which was like, whoa, I never thought this was going to happen. So when this kind of period happened here, personally for me, I went from a $17 average down, and I believe I'm still roughly about there now. I'm sitting around about $15 to $14, which I'm still very happy about. And potentially at the moment I could actually get it even lower, because like I say, we are sitting at $11, which I didn't think would happen, but we are here. We're back at a price that we were at obviously a year ago, and yeah, that has really surprised me. Now from here, when we kind of dropped completely down to this $12 mark, we had the little spike. So like I said, this company has the potential to just move crazy and spike out of nowhere, and that's something you got to be careful of. It's volatile, it can move down very quickly, it can move up very quickly, and the same again, by the time I make this video and we'll put it up, next thing you know, in the next kind of few days, we might have some positive news that came out, and we're going to talk about this a little bit, but this is when they actually ended up purchasing Arky. And yeah, we had a big pop from here. So the great thing was here is that I actually pulled my average down a huge amount, and then because we actually had this kind of pop here, at that point I went from being down to boom, being straight back up, and I was up about 30-40%, and from there I sold about 30% of my position, and then we had the bit of the drop again. I started buying back again, got my average a bit lower, and then boom, we had a pop again. Same again, I was buying back in again, and then we had a pop, and then I sold some more shares. So really on Skillz, there has been some very good money made in the short term, but I don't like doing it too much. If I get the opportunity to get my average down, and then next few days, boom, we shoot back up, I'm going to take a little profit off the table. So that's what I've done previously, and I made some really good money, but since then, we peaked at about $22, and like I said, July's been the rough month because it's lost half its value again. And like I said before, this is a company that it could even carry on going down here. We could go quite low down, or we could, out of nowhere pop back up, and that's something you just always got to be careful of. But same again, now we're in this kind of downtrend, I am thinking about, buying again, getting that average lower, and then if we have what we have here, these little pops, I will just then take a little bit of profit in the short term. But what I'm kind of based on, and what the whole kind of reason for this investment is like the next 2 to 5 years, I think this is going to be a major esports player, gaming play. I don't want to sell everything. Even if your company kind of goes up 50-60% in a month, you got to kind of think, is that kind of a realistic jump, or is that a bit of a short-term reaction? And I thought it was a short-term reaction, just take a bit of the profit off the table. But the whole point of this video and what I'm buying this company for is a long term. So I am trying to look at this company at a long term point of view, but that's just kind of a little bit what's kind of going on in the share price in general. So just going on the growth story here is fantastic. So at the moment, 2021, we are looking to do 366 million in revenue. Now at the moment, management actually came out on the recent earnings, which I thought their recent earnings were actually pretty solid. I would give them a good 7 or 8 out of 10. And they've actually now raised guidance to 376 million. So the numbers are really good. And the thing as well, you got to remember, Skillz is coming off a really tough comparison year, what they've just had. That's the thing you got to remember. The numbers, the growth that's been pulled forward was very tricky, and they're still growing at 50%. You look at the likes of Amazon, struggling for growth a little bit now. They're growing at 30%, but next quarter they're looking at a 16% growth. And you look at what Skillz are potentially doing, they're still going to grow at 60% this year. So let's not forget, this is doing good growth in very hard comparisons. Not that Amazon or Skillz are going to be anything alike, but just a little bit of a comparison on how hard it is for a lot of these companies to grow after that year. So the growth here is actually beating expectations. And then we are going to look at 555 million in revenue, and this is taken off their investor relation page. Now, there is no current future projections out there for Skillz, but I've kind of done my numbers on it. So I believe they're going to do in 2023 700 million, 2024 900 million, and I think we will see this company actually cross the $1 billion mark in 2025. Now, my figures here are taking a massive slowdown, and also I am putting in the worst case scenario here for me, and that they kind of stop promoting and putting as much marketing expenses in as what they currently are doing, and also the investment in Archie, which we'll talk about in a second, would also try and help a bit of that savings, I guess. But yeah, 555 million, 700 million, and you look here, 900 million, and this is now kind of predicting that growth is going to be below 30%, and I would expect this to probably still be higher than 30% both of these years. And then in this year, I've only predicted just over 10% growth, which I would expect Skillz to probably still be growing more than 10%. But you can see here, these are far ahead. I'm predicting a massive, obviously this will slow down, it will be harder for it to grow revenue, but what I'm predicting is a massive slowdown in this company. Now that would put it about 12 times sales at the end of this year, which in my opinion, 12 times sales for a growth company that is normally growing at 100% rate, obviously it'll grow about 60% rate, is still not too bad in my opinion. Like, if people that say this company, one thing that this company always gets criticised is that it's overvalued. In my point of view, 12 is not too bad. Ideally, I would like it single digits. So I'm not trying to say this company is cheap. I don't believe it is a cheap company. But when people say it's overvalued, I disagree. I think it's a pretty fair reflection on a company that is a really hyper growth company. So I don't take it in that this is overvalued at all. I don't agree when people say that. And then it'll drop down to 8, 6, 5, and 4. So if this company, worst case scenario, does a flat line for 2 years, I'll be really happy with that, because in 2 years' time, I'll be saying to you, this is now a really cheap company. And this might happen, as always, when you go into investments, you've got to be buying the company, and you think about, is that company going to be successful in the long term? Which I think it will be. When everything that I've talked about so far, I think it will be successful in the long term. But I'm looking at this company kind of thinking right now, if it flatlines for 2 years, it's going to be cheap, and I'll be happy, and I think the company will perform, and then later on it will kick on in share price. But if it just does this numbers now and stays where it is, we'll go down to a 6 and a 5 and a 4, and let's not forget, these are cheap. What I'm expecting is quite cheap numbers. I think they'll do a lot better than this. Now, just to kind of put that into context, for example, Palantir, which obviously I think Palantir will probably be a bigger company than Skillz. And it already is a bigger company than Skillz, for example. But for example, on 2023 numbers, Skillz is going to be a 6. Palantir at the moment is a 20. And sure, Palantir will probably deserve to trade higher than what Skillz is, but that just puts you into context of people that say Skillz is an expensive company. I think it's fair. I mean, I've always said I think Palantir is like a massively overvalued company, but that's a hyper growth company. They're putting massive investments in and seeing massive growth. Skillz is putting massive investments in, seeing a massive growth. I think Palantir is overvalued, but that just kind of gives you a little bit of context of like it's not the worst valuation ever. It's definitely a decent valuation, and I just kind of put that there just as a little bit of a comparison, for example. So yeah, overall I don't think the valuation is terrible. Balance sheet wise, balance sheet is very strong. Obviously they need it, they will burn through a lot of cash in these next few years, but when you look at the balance sheet in particular, you've got zero debt to equity. There's no debt on here. There's been no debt on the actual company for a long time. So yeah, debt on here non-existent. It has a very strong cash pile, so we'll call it 700 million, and yeah, it's going to burn through the money a little bit, so it does need it, and it probably will still raise cash, but still is very healthy. We're not talking about a company here that has any financial trouble, so it's a strong balance sheet that we have here. The recent investments kind of, at the start of the video where I see the company going. So first of all, the new addition it has, which is Archie, which is the marketing company that will hopefully help it in the longer term and also cut down some expenses. That's one of its recent investments that it has made. You've got Exit Games, so it's made an investment into Exit Games, which kind of sums up they are looking now to kind of have bigger servers to host more complex games than what they currently do have. So you're able to host, and there's a lot of Exit Games is used by a lot of massive games makers already at the moment, so that could have the ability to hold more players, more competition, bigger game titles. So that's kind of suggesting they are now looking to get past the basic games they are at, to having rather than just little puzzle games, to having those big titles of, you know, Call of Duty, for example, having a Call of Duty Skillz game, which would be huge, and also preparing for the NFL. You know, they are currently have one of the biggest partnerships out there. They've done a partnership with the NFL to create a game with the NFL. We've got a little bit of an update that is going into like the semi-final stage where 14 games are now being developed. One little Easter egg from the actual recent conference call was that Andrew Paradise said, we are going to select a game or games, so there could potentially be more than one NFL game that does come out in the next year, which could be good. But this NFL deal is the first kind of major deal where you are having the branding power. You know, a lot of these games that they're using to promote at the moment, they have to keep promoting them really hard. The NFL is going to be in an instant. You've got that branding, you've got the NFL there. People like NFL. It will be promoted by the NFL. You've already got a big brand there that's going to attract people in, so that's going to be massive. What also is going to signal is if this is successful, you're going to have other partners like the NHL, the NBA, or not even, you know, other brands out there that go, oh, you know what, let's get a game with Skillz. And like I said, you know, it opens the door to the likes of Call of Duty to use the platform. It opens up the doors to, you know, Fortnite to use the platform. And that's the big thing, is these brand deals will bring more and more people in, and you don't have to market it as much as well. And that's the game changer. This could be the Skillz doesn't have too many like titles that have been top 10 in the App Store. It's never had a top 10 App Store game. And these are the sort of the deals that will come in the next few years that are going to kind of push it on to the next level, which is going to be good. And like you see here, is the investments for this company has kind of proven the business model is good, but the next level of having these actual games that attract the actual hardcore gamers in could be the little bit of the next step as well. Monthly active users, monthly paying active users. Monthly paying active users is still going strong. They're making more money from them users. That's where most of the marketing goes. It is to get people to keep on paying, and that's what's been happening. Monthly active users is a thing that is always talked about Skillz and is in their earnings, and the recent earnings, the monthly active users stayed flat, and people take that a little bit negative, but I don't think people understand Skillz when they talk about monthly active users. They don't understand that monthly active users don't make Skillz any money. They do not advertise for monthly active users because they make, you know, money from them. So monthly active users is dead for Skillz. They said one of the things that I think was the last earnings report was they actually said, we actually wish we never actually included monthly active users anymore, because it's a pointless metric for us, because actually monthly active users actually cost us money because they use our servers and we make nothing from them. They have no where a lot of other mobile gaming companies make money from monthly active users because they advertise. Skillz doesn't advertise on the platform, so they make no money. They actually cost Skillz money. So monthly active users is a pointless metric. Sure, you might say you'd like to see monthly active users grow, because if monthly active users grow, then they could convert them to monthly paying users. It's potentially an argument you could have. But still, you know, it's really a pointless metric, I guess, for Skillz. And the advertising goes to monthly paying users, which is seeing the boom still continue, which is good. Monthly active users would be very interesting, because if they did want to start promoting that and advertise that, especially when you've got Arky now, it could happen. And the thing is, you could then advertise them. So with the amount of monthly active users that Skillz does have, it wouldn't be the craziest thing to actually then start doing advertising on the platform for just these sort of people, and then you make money off them. And that's something else where Skillz could go further down the line. So don't rule that out. That's a part of the company that Skillz makes no money from, which they could do further down the line. We'll see what happens. But just one thing that I do see that is put to Skillz and a negative is about that not growing, but it's a pointless metric because it actually costs them money, so they probably don't want to see it growing, because that just means them losing more money in theory. The two risks, I've rubbed it off a little bit. The two risks, so after doing all this and making Skillz sound like a really good company in the long term, and I believe it's a good company in the long term. I think that, you know, when I invest into a company for 2 to 5 years, you know, as I always say, I look for 100% return. I think I will get it with this one, and I'm not going to lie, I do think I could potentially make even more than that, and that's why I'm in particular buying it and taking that. Even though the risk is bigger, I'm thinking the reward could be quite big on this one, because I'm picking a company up at a, 4 billion market cap, which I think it has the potential to be even bigger than that further down the line, 20 billion, 30 billion at least. These two risks just to be careful of. I think it is worth saying that, there will be times where the losses will grow on this company because of how early stages it is. To get to where they need to be, they have to keep investing in buying companies out, marketing to keep people coming to the platform. It is going to be an expensive company to run, and you will see losses, and the bears will be out on these sort of companies because they will say, oh, look at how much money they are losing. But unfortunately, a lot of companies do have to put in this investment early on. You look at the likes of the two companies I like to talk about quite a bit is like, Square, even Tesla, Square, Shopify. 3 amazing companies, 3 of the best performing companies in the last few years. How many years have they had unprofitable? A lot. And the share price carried on going in the right direction because people knew where it was going. And then the next little beautiful thing that happened with them is they hit profit, and then boom, the share prices carry on going up even more. But you could bought them at the stage of where it just turned profitable. But if you caught these companies even 3 years ago, the likes of, or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, the likes of Square, when it was down, when I started buying it, at $20, 3-4 years of unprofitability, gets to profit, and look at how much you're up on that one. Tesla as well, buying that one down at $40 and look how much that one's up. And that's the thing, is that there is part of this that you could actually wait on this and wait for the losses to get a bit thinner, but you are kind of missing out buying these companies with the potential of how much gains they could have. And that's the one thing that I am going to say about that one. So you have to be prepared that there will be a lot of bears and about the losses, and losses will be here for a little bit. Another little thing is that share dilution. Share dilution will probably happen with this one because it will keep on looking to raise money. Some people don't like that, and if you don't like share dilution, I mean, there's already been a fair bit since it has come onto the stock market, and why I don't want to talk too much about the actual share price because of the share dilution, and I want to focus more on the market cap side of it. But there has been share dilution, there probably will be share dilution because it will need to keep raising capital to grow. But as a lot of companies will do and have done to get to where they have got to, they have to raise capital to keep growing, and that might happen, and that's just something to be careful of. And I think it's only fair, as always, that I do say the risks to reward, the risks that do come with this company. But as you can see, I am kind of bullish, thinking how good this is going to grow, and the industry that it's in the next few years, I think it has a lot of potential. So yeah, overall, I'm still bullish on the company. I still plan to hold the company for the next 2 to 5 years. I'm not holding it for 6 months. Saying that, I will carry on to buy in the position. I will carry on trying to get my average down. If there is the point of view where I'm averaging down and then boom, what we've had previously where it jumped 60%, don't be too surprised if I do just trim a little bit of profit. But I am trying to sort a position out here for averaging down, getting a good average and holding that for the long term, and I still plan to do that. But yeah, hopefully that was all a good recap into Skillz. Hopefully there's some useful information in there. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully it wasn't too deep dive and didn't get too boring. But yeah, if you could hit the like button, that'd be absolutely amazing. If there was something useful in there, give us a subscribe, it's free. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.